There's this word you always hear. I rarely see doctors explain it, and it's the word inflammation. And now I'll make it simple, and basically it's far more complicated than what I'm going to allude to. But essentially, it's a foreign object, a substance, liquid, solid, whatever, gas, anything foreign outside your body that comes into contact with your body, usually through your digestive, bloodstream, immune response. But to keep it simple, without getting into too depth, it comes into contact with your body. It bypasses your epidermis, your skin, all your natural barriers to keep foreign objects outside your body. And then somehow, some way, whatever it was, a liquid, solid, or plasma, whatever foreign substance got into contact with your body, your immune system now responds to this, and basically you have a high white blood cell count. That's one way to detect it, this state of inflammation. Another form is usually getting a fever, or the area which is inflamed, cut or whatever. Poison bite usually has swelling, heat, inflammation, edema, all these things, all forms of inflammation. Heat and usually a high blood cell count, white blood cell count is the forms and telltale signs of inflammation. All disease is inflammation, is overacting in response to the immune system to a targeted area to counteract a foreign object from your body. That's a very simplistic overview of what inflammation is. I can get into it in depth, but there's really no point in that. But that's what inflammation is. So when your doctor says you're inflamed, he's basically saying you're eating something, you're going into contact with something that is not natural to your body and making your body respond to it, causing inflammation. So, with that in mind now, the reason why you are the way you are, it's misclassified by most doctors because that's the way they're taught in their school system. Identify ailment, never the root cause of the ailment. When they treat cancer, they say, "Oh, you have cancer in this area. Let us give you these treatments." They never beg the question, "How did you get cancer? Why is there cancer? Why is your immune system so weak to the point where it's allowed metastasize of a cell, or your weakened immune system did not fight this cancerous?" Because you fight cancer every day, 24/7. When you go outside through the apocalyptic environment that we're not in. But essentially, doctors curtail the root cause and go after symptoms. Good doctors, which are rare and few between, focus on the root cause, which is mainly diet and your environment. So a lot of your genetic ailments that you think are genetic, well, it's understandable why they are misclassified as genetic. I mean, when you think about it, your parents are eating inflammatory food, are in an inflammatory environment. You are then created with, your father and mother, what they give in to create a baby. You begin as a cell, zygote, all those things. So you are basically formed with inflammatory byproducts from your mother and father. Now you are in your mother, and now you are enduring an inflammatory state because, first off, her whole body is inflamed from the constant environment she's in and inflammatory foods. So from beginning to end, once you're finally birthed, now you're birthed. Now they inject you inflammatory byproducts that bypass your immune system and enforce a response. The whole needle thing. I can't really say that word for fear of scrutiny, but you know what I'm trying to say. So they force you to get these things in order to go to school and things. Well, they don't force you, but most people are too lazy to really circumvent that. But anyway, so this elicits a response from the body, and now you're getting more inflammation as a young baby, where you don't really have an immune system at all really to respond to these inflammatory byproducts. Then you're eating food that is not culpable with your body, and that's another inflammatory response. So from beginning to end, and even up to now to adulthood, you have been eating inflammatory byproducts. Some of you may have been smoking, drinking, things you shouldn't be doing, not sober, as the Bible says, be sober-minded. And essentially, you are in a constant state of inflammation, 24/7, basically your whole life. And the only time you're not in an inflamed state is when you're sleeping, even though really you are inflamed. You never really give your body a time to rest, even when you're sleeping, because now your body has a shorter window. I mean, it has a short window of the enemy. You're not adding reinforcements, but they're still dealing with whatever you ate. Think of your body as a military base, and you just allow enemies 24/7. You open the gates, and for 8 hours, 6 hours, however long you sleep, you close the gates, but the enemies are still there. So anyway, you're in a constant state of inflammation, and because of this, you have genetic ailments, anywhere from autism to Asperger's and schizophrenia, type 2 diabetes, type 1 diabetes, all these, genetic diseases, so-called, because you were in a constant state of inflammation. You were never given the chance or information told to you that most of this can be circumvented or remedied simply by a proper diet, enough sunlight, exercise. But these things, but most people don't care to really do them, because they think, well, whatever they think. But this can alleviate your inflammation to significant, and it basically begins with the sooner the better. Had you done it when you were 4 years old, or sooner, baby would be best. But had you done that, maybe you wouldn't have your supposed genetic ailments, such as ADHD and Alzheimer's. Not Alzheimer's. Well, they say Alzheimer's is genetic. It's basically a protein buildup in the brain. But that can all be remedied through a proper diet, and taking away most of the byproducts that we cook with. Just because they sell it to us doesn't mean it's really safe. Aluminum pots, pans, aluminum foil. When you bake something, you put in aluminum. So a lot of these byproducts, it's all a factor of knowing the information and applying it, and having the right things to use on a daily basis. And then there's also the fact of the water from your public water utility system, chlorinated hot water. When you heat it up, and your chlorine high 24/7, if you wash with hot water 24/7, as the average American does. They love hot water, and they can't get lukewarm, but whatever the case. So you're in a constant state of inflammation, because not only the food, but just day-to-day activities such as showering, when you brush your teeth in chlorinated water, you're using fluoridated toothpaste. Every little thing you do is a constant state of inflammation to your body. You're never giving your body a proper rest. So the best thing you could do is minimize. And that begins simply first by drinking clean water. Your body is mostly water, so let's get that right. Clean, the best water you can afford, get filtered water, preferably. Please don't drink from the sink or hose, even in America. Right? Most of the pipes in your city and your state are anywhere from old. It can be as old from the 1930s to the newest, maybe be 1980s. None of it's new, but it's all a comparison of what's less old. Anyway, so just get the water right. Get the cleanest water you can get. don't drink from plastic, aluminum. Drink from stainless steel or glass. All you gotta buy is a nice stainless steel cup, and that's pretty durable. Glass, it's nicer, better than steel. But everyone's clumsy. You could break that. With a steel cup, you really gotta try to destroy that. Anyway, replace the plastic, remove the aluminum. Don't cook with iron either. The iron your body needs, and yeah, that's basically all you gotta do. Just figure out what's not natural that you're adding to your body. Remove. So it's very simple once you really look at it through that lens. But most people don't have this information, so that's just the first and foremost issue, having the right information. Most doctors are not going to help you. That's a pity of it all, really. So without going on a digression, a tangent of doctors, you have to be your own doctor, and you can really apply that to life. Be your own lawyer, doctor. But that's another tangent that I won't get into. But get the information. I mean, we live in the age of abundance of information. Most of it is outright lies and false. So you really have to navigate and have the right, proper, non-inflamed mindset, and basically have the right discernment to say, okay, this is false, this is fake, this makes sense. So it's that simple. Get the information, apply it, and basically, as I said, remove all the unnatural byproducts in your day-to-day life, and go from there. Basically, you get a carnivore diet, and there's a whole litany of reasons of why that's natural. Some doctors will say, oh my god, cholesterol, heart disease, all these things, but cholesterol is a precursor to testosterone, meaning before you get testosterone, you need cholesterol. That's the foundation. Without cholesterol, you will have inadequate function of testosterone or lack of testosterone. But my subject matter and the understanding of that is not too in depth, but I understand the basic premise of it. Either way, most of the cholesterol your body makes is in your for males, is in your private area, and surprise, surprise, that's where most of your testosterone is at too. So they go hand in hand. But anyway, so carnivore diet. This Dr. Anthony Shafee, he made it so simplistic, and it's really, you really got to think, okay, what are carbs? The basic compounds of carbs. I'm not talking about hydrogen, carbon, compounds. I'm not talking that basic, but I'm saying, what are they exactly? What do they turn into? Sugar. Carbs are sugar. They turn into sugar. What does sugar do to your teeth? One of the most hardest things of your body. They rot it. And there you go. You got your teeth fall out. Imagine what they're doing to your soft tissue organs and tissue and muscle and skeletal system. Just imagine that. What they're doing to your teeth is doing to inside of your body. And this is how you get liver damage and all these diseases. It's all a function of glycation. Sugar overload is to make the most simplistic summary of what glycation is, even though that's not that's an oversimplification and not exactly the real. But to just look it up. But that's basically what it is. You have too much sugar in the body, you overload the system, destroy the cell wall, barriers, everything. You have the glycobiome. But anyway, you just saturate the body with too much sugar, and you destroy the body, and this tears up and destroys your body throughout your whole system, and then you get through your arteries and heart and veins, you get this plaque buildup called cholesterol. But the reason why that occurs is because you have triglycerides, all these fat flowing, these little fatty molecules flowing throughout your body at all times, because that's the body's natural source of fuel, the triglycerides, the fat. Your cells run off fat. But anyway, so with this over sugar accumulation, this glycation, you destroy the tissue of the body, and wherever it may be, liver, heart, whatever. But anyway, so usually this shows up in the arteries most clearly. It destroys and basically tears up the proteins and destroys the protein lining of your arteries. And then here comes this fat that's flowing through your body. It hits like let me oversimplify it. It's like a little cut, chasm, whatever. Even though it's not really like that, but let's, for simplistic visualization, it plugs up the damage done by the sugar. And then your doctor comes and says, oh, look, too much cholesterol, you gotta cut down on. No, it's because you had too much sugar. You destroyed your body, and your body, like, free flowing and fat throughout your body throughout the whole time, and it just plugged it up. But it's your body's response to trying to repair something that shouldn't have to be repaired, but that's your body's response. That's the best mechanism your body has. And now I'm not talking about their stem cell. You can get stem cells and repair the body through that, but most of you are not going to fast. But those of you in the know, you know what fasting can do. You create stem cells after 72 hours. So the body has everything you need, really, to repair itself. When you get cancer and then you have all these, organ failures, that's not, a one-day thing. That's basically a long line of inflammation. And as I said, no one is born, unless your parents were carnivore and they knew all these things. But the standard is that most of us are not born non-inflamed. So none of us can say, we're born ready and the best, free of any ailments. We're born inflamed, and then we continue to be inflamed. So what is really genetic and what is really environmental is skewed, and there's not really too many tests. There's not too many studies where they follow a mother and father, they procreate, and then they examine the function and raising of that cell, and it becomes you. And there's no studies like that, at least that I know of, from that follow someone from inception to adulthood. There's no really studies like that, but we know that's how inflammation works. So try it out. This is not medical advice. None of this is medical advice. I'm not a doctor. I'm not in no way, shape, or form connected to a licensure that allows me to practice medicine. I just I went to medical school, but that doesn't qualify me. But I do read a lot. I love to read. I love to know. I don't like people telling me this is how things are, and they don't explain to me. It's like, oh, can you explain it to me? It's like, oh, it's too complicated for you to understand. It's like, I don't think you understand my capability, but thank you for downplaying my intelligence. You're very kind. But anyway, I read a lot. You could do the same. It may be harder for you or easier, whatever it may be, but you just got to try. As long as you are, even the most, it's not hard to understand these basic concepts. It's just memorization, read it. Anyway, this is inflammation. That was a long gist of it all, but that's basically what it is. Carnivore. I'll break it down the most simplistic way that anyone listening to the last minute of this talk can basically hear me out, apply it, or research it, and judge for themselves if I'm full of it, or hey, this guy knows something. All you gotta do is first off, let me explain it to you as if you were sober. If you drink and then you have a lot of organ damage, diabetes, things, that's a different approach. You can't go head on. It's too much shock to the body. you could get a real bad response. So if you know you're severely unhealthy, chronically obese for decades, you're a drinker, smoker, different. It's the same approach, but you can't go. You can't. You gotta dip a toe. You can't just go full body into the pool. You just it's different for you. You gotta really ease yourself into it, see how your body responds. But your body will tell you. Everyone's different. So one guy can do it this way, and one girl can do it that way, and then they have a different response. So everyone's individually different. Even between your brothers and sisters is different. So you have to test your body and see where you're at. And see where you're at and how your body responds to this new diet change, because it's going to be a complete shock to your body. I mean, you went from eating and growing up one way to now you're doing the right way, but it's not natural. And there's microbes in your gut and all these. Anyway, not to explain that because I want to make this video short. This is what you got to do. And reminder, if you know you've damaged your body because you weren't sober, apply it, the same thing I'm telling you, but don't go head first, and always consult your doctor. I mean, I gotta say that, but your doctors, most doctors are full of it. Oh, and before I forget, these doctors look up if you really wanna, educate yourself. These guys are licensed doctors, real doctors. Dr. Robert Kiltz, that's Killtz, and Dr. Anthony Shafee, Dr. Sean Baker, Dr. Sean O'Mara, Dr. What was his name? Damn, Robert. What was his name? He's a great doctor. I can't believe I forgot his name. But anyway, and Dr. Jason Fung, and there's other doctors, but I don't want to bore you. With those guys, that's a good foundation. I got many more doctors if you want to, but these guys are old timey. Those are the doctors that are still alive and are practicing today. So those doctors, they could verify and back up most of what I'm saying. Watch it, yeah. Anywho, so all you gotta do is remove the aluminum, remove the iron, remove the unclean chlorinated water. Usually put a filter out for your shower, your sink, so when you brush your teeth. Filter for your water. Remove the plastic and never use aluminum foil. Use parchment paper when you're baking or things of that nature. Cook with stainless steel, or you got clay pots, but all that. Stainless steel is the best. The more durable. Even though clay and all that's better, but you could break it anyway. Stainless steel. Nothing but carnivore. You need the fat. Don't eat lean protein. Lean protein turns into sugar. I forgot to mention that. So don't. If you have chicken, have the chicken with the skin. Add the butter, because that even with the skin is not enough fat. So add butter. If you don't like butter, add lard. There's no such thing as a plant fat. Those are oils. So anything that comes from a plant that's not a fat, that's oil. So don't confuse those two terms, oil and fats, even though they mislabel it as fat. That's a psyop. No such thing as a plant fat, all oils. So fats are from animals. Get a fat from animal you're liking, add it to your daily diet, and go from there. I mean, as I said, you're going to feel horrible at first because it's the fat destroys the inflammation in your body. That's what it does, the fat. And if you go head strong into this carnivore diet, lots of fat, you're gonna feel horrible. I felt horrible for a month, and I did it at I think I started carnivore at what? I did it for a whole year when I was I think 23. I believe I was 23, 24. I did it for a whole year, or 8 months, but let's say a year. And then I did keto after that, and then I just went off it completely. But being on it for so long it's amazing your body how it just switches over. And anyway, So that's all you gotta do. Minimize, take away, and then once you really mastered it, give it a year. Then add in some fasting. I mean, you'll feel great. You save money. Your skin will look better. I mean, the only issue with fasting is for some people, like for me, like I get way too much energy, and if you don't work out, you're just gonna have horrible sleep. But that's the only issue with fasting. You just get way too much energy. So, but if you do fasting before you cleanse your body with the carnivore diet, you're gonna feel horrible. So, but you're in an inflamed state, so clear the inflammation with the diet, and that's all you have to do. And basically, you begin to see that what you thought was a genetic ailment, a disorder, was really you were in an inflamed state this whole time, and now you finally cleansed it. And now for some of you, it may be too late. You may have done way too much damage to your body. But this will definitely reduce it and help you. Either way, it will do that. For some of you, I mean, you may have saved your body, and then you're cured. You're gone, and then you might get on it and then get off it, and hey, it all came back. Well, I mean, if you stop smoking, and then you feel great because you stop smoking, and then you smoke again, you say, oh, well, it came back. Well, no, duh, you're doing something you're not supposed to do. Gaining inflammation via smoking. So if you go back to your old diet that you're not supposed to eat, your sugar, high diet, carbs, you're not supposed to do that. And that's because that's your body's response to telling you, hey, look, you're getting the symptoms back because you're doing something you're not supposed to do. So stay sober, eat carnivore, drink clean water, stay away from milk. Milk is good, if you want to get bulk up, get strong. But you get fat to that because lots of sugar, and milk is not natural for adults. So anyway, but I will stay away from the milk. I mean, it's a good food, good healthy food, but it's just too much sugar in there. But, just eat your cheeses, get your Parmesan Reggiano, and get your bacon. All meats are good, basically, but fish, I would cool it on the fish, the mercury. And then the ocean is basically the world's toilet bowl, so all the sewage and runoff goes into the ocean, and then it doesn't magically disappear just because you put it in the net and then canned it, and then now you're eating it. It has to go somewhere, and usually goes in the flesh of the fish. So I would stay away from fish, even though it's highly nutritious, but unfortunately, just the way the planet is. So, just carnivore, exercise, start small, do what you can. If you could do one push-up, half a push-up, whatever, 5, 10, 15, 100 a day, then 1,000, and, lift weights. Don't lift too much. I wouldn't bench press too much. If you're going to get a bench press, get that one, I forget what it's called, but it's basically a bench press, but it's like each arm is more natural. Or do a dumbbell presses for the bench press, because that's not a natural movement. Nowhere in nature. Think of yourself as caveman. Would you think of cavemans do that? I mean, that's not a natural movement. When you push something off, you usually push it to the side. Anyway, but that's not a natural movement. Do natural movements, exercises, and then you can avoid most of your injuries in your life. And I'm just telling you from I've been reading books about medical since I was 5 years old, but I really started to get into it when I was 18, 19. But since I was a young boy, I read a lot of the medical literature because most of my family, a lot of them were doctors, nurses, lawyers, so I got inundated with information that greatly exceeds my what's the word the military use, pay raise, pay gap, pay rate, all this info exceeds my pay rate, but I know it. I'm giving it to you for free, and because I like to see people healthy and happy. I hate seeing people unhealthy and unhappy. Good luck to you.